Hello and welcome to Weaving the Magic. Today's video is about the Death card, which is Major Arcana number 13. This card is probably one of my favorites. I'm going to layer in all of the symbolism in these various decks that I have laid out here. I will try to remember to link the names of them in the description box if you really want that, and I haven't done that by the time you're watching this video. Please leave a comment and remind me to do so. The ADHD is real, folks. So I have a love for this card because it's got so much wrapped into it. And I'm going to first start with the number 13. That is the death card. 13 lunations in a year. 13 is that auspicious number of like not Black Friday, that's silly. Friday the 13th. 13 is a number that's linked to witches and witchcraft. Why? Because 13 and the death card refer to the natural cycles of things. Death is natural, it's a part of nature that cannot be escaped. But just like a lot of nature, when it's feared, it becomes something that's like dark and scary and something we try to hide from, something we try to run from, something we try to avoid. So it gains this archetype of this unwanted, this darkness, this thing to fear, which is why I really love this card. And I'm going to start here. So this is from the, what deck is this? The Archangel's deck. I forget who created it, but this is Archangel Azrael. And it says, release the past. There is a more enriching future coming. Let go and let God. It's labeled peace. Death can very much be about peace. It can be a peaceful end to something. This is just my personal stuff, but my dad, when he was living, was an alcoholic. He was not happy, to say the very least. He was not fulfilled. He was not enjoying his life. He was in the opposite of peace. And death for him was peace for him and for the rest of us that had been suffering his alcoholism. And that's a really deep subject with a lot involved there. But death can be peaceful, or it can be horrifying when we try to resist it. Like a lot of the figures in this card, this one pleading for his life here. And I find it interesting that this is like the religious figure in this card. That the religious figure would not go peacefully into the afterlife and instead plead and beg and try to rally against nature says something about the state of human existence and how unwilling we are to cohabitate with nature, and the path that we've taken of dominating it and using and abusing it and trying to manipulate it into something other than what it is. There's a lot to be said there. Now, this person could either be dead or having been surrendered to it. Either way, there's no more animation here. The death card is similar to the hanged man card, in which it's talking about like a pause before a continuum in the life cycle. But in the death card, you can see like the whole life cycle. Here's the sun rising after death has come and taken its toll. Here's this like both the black flag of like death itself, but this, the white is so much like surrender. And the five there, the five petals around the flower, or the 5 points of it, talks about change. 5 is a number where stability has been interrupted and change is being brought in. And then these other two figures in the card here, this is like death is innocent. Without death, there is no new life. There is no youth. I mean, whether you're a mother or not, or whether you've ever endured childbirth, especially natural childbirth, that shit hurts. It hurts a lot. And not only does it hurt, it actually destroys you. Like the process of creating life inside of your body destroys so much of your body. Speaking from a person who's had 2 children, it actually makes you become a totally different person, which is one of the very central themes of the death card. It's not just about death, but it's about renewal. It's about rebirth. It's about what happens when we let go of something that we're clinging to and allow something new to be born. This card over here, I love the shimmer in the back. And that writing on the back of that tomb is part of the Tao. And it talks about how things that are dead, dying, or ready to die are brittle, like bones. There's no life left in them. Things that are living and wanting to live and growing and continuing to live are not. They're flexible. They move. They have movement. They're willing to bend, to adapt, to grow, to change, to transform. Death is about transformation in general. And if there's anything about you or your life or anything that's unwilling to be transformed, it's got to go. Life is about a process of transformation. Um, Being called to like this spirit mask over here, this carving, this architecture, um, even stone, even rock is willing to be transformed. It yields to a steady stream of water. Coal will be transformed with the pressure. Like everything in life will be transformed at some point in time, inevitably. And if it can't or won't or refuses, it'll die. And then when we're trying to resurrect things from the dead, like I feel compelled to talk about relationships. If you're pulling the death card in regard to a relationship, I would pull maybe some more cards for clarity unless you asked a very specific question about it, because it's like, could this relationship undergo a transformation with like perhaps an ego death or two involved and then survive and come out transformed on the other side? Or are we trying to revive something here that's going to come back as only half of what it was, like a zombie? Are you trying to keep something alive that doesn't have enough juice in it to keep going? You know, so I'd leave that open to interpretation based on the symbolism on your exact card and exactly the specific question that you asked. But death is not just about, it's certainly not like if you pull the death card in a reading it means you're going to die. It means there's something archetypically that needs to go. Like in this card, all the symbolism, this is the cosmic tarot. Here's the clock down here, like broken in half. Here's a crown. The first time I had pulled this card, I actually wrote like a whole long uh, affirmation commitment to it. It was like death to the old way, death to the hierarchy, death to war, death to all of the bullshit concepts that have kept me stuck and holding on to like whatever was decaying in my life, preventing me from seeing the sun rising behind me or coming up wherever it was coming up, you know? This is so much death to struggle, death to resistance, death to oppression, because the death card, death, killing something, things dying, again, sparks so much renewal. I won't make this, super personal, but again, my dad was killing himself while he was alive. Alcoholics, that's not an enjoyable life to live, nor is it enjoyable for anyone that's surrounded by that person to watch alcohol slowly take their personality over and, you know, be emotionally abused by an alcoholic. That's not an enjoyable life journey. So when he passed, there was so much peace and an ability to renew. And quite frankly, I will make it this personal and I'll take it there. Watching my father kill himself with alcohol was one of those things that I needed to witness for my own personal life journey. Seeing his death, seeing his life, his death, what he was able to make peace with and not here in this lifetime, and watching him like be drained of all of his life force gave me the key I needed to unlock my own inner light. Like, so death can be a gift. Death is a gift. It can be the most gigantic gift if we're willing to find the purity. Look at this freedom of this white horse. This symbolism is amazing. I mean, death as this dark feared figure, hooded, masked, hidden, comes riding in on this white horse to these unexpected, unsuspecting people. And it's like, what do you do with that? Do you fight? Do you surrender to the freedom? What do you do with that? And that's a very personal thing for each of us. And it depends on the exact situation and what the thing is that's dying. But if you're coming to this card in terms of a reading where it's like, what are my next steps or what am I supposed to do about this? Let go. Let whatever it is be taken and transformed. Release the past. Look towards the future. Allow nature to implement its cycle because it knows best. It knows when it's time to drop the leaves in fall. It knows when it's time to open up its buds in spring. It knows when death is appropriate. So allow nature to inform you. Allow your intuition to inform you what it is that needs to be put to death or allowed to be taken. This seems like a pretty quick one, but honestly, I feel like this card is so self explanatory because it is about death, it's about dying. But the peace on the other side of that and the magic inherent in that transformation, and especially in allowing yourself to step outside of it and observe the cycles. You know, something has died or it's a time for it to die. Take a step outside of your feelings about that and observe. Try to remember, when was the last time that you had something like this happen? How long did it take you to get to the light on the other side? Like, the sun definitely came up, didn't it? You know, another portion of this is like allowing yourself to be shrouded in darkness for a time. You know, allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to be veiled, not having to put everything out there, and allowing this time for darkness where you're sad that something ended, or you know, you're grieving the loss of something that you really loved, or maybe something, a pattern, a habit, or something that's been really hard to let go of. Like, these figures that are shown dead are generally like the eldest figures in the card. And this is talking about like old ancient ideas, old generational habits, patterns, things that used to serve us in society, in communities, in life, in our families, or that didn't. This is like the end of generational trauma. This is the end of, you know, never before did our parents or grandparents know how to do any better. And now we're coming in to bring in freedom by putting to death all these old concepts of rigidity and dogma and, you know, all of this. Death can be such a cleansing, powerful energy when we allow it to mean what it means, which is a leaving of this physical world and gaining of a higher perspective. Everything in the cosmos, everything in the stars and the sky works in cycles, just like everything on earth does. It's like, leave the brittleness of whatever has nothing left to sustain life for you. Come back home. I'm not advocating for suicide. Come back home and be with the stars, be with the light until it's time to come here and incarnate again and take a new life. Something with more flexibility, something with more growth, something with more a higher perspective. I love that this dead thing is an animal, and then this looks like an oak tree, right? Bring me back with some higher perspective. Let me end this cycle and come back on the other side of it with more wisdom gained for having allowed the process to be what it was. Not thinking that I had the intelligence to override it. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I think that was pretty good. If you have any questions, comments, your experiences with the death card, if you want clarity on this, or again, if I forget to tag these things, please leave me a comment so I can put the names of the decks in the description box. I hope this was beneficial for you.